Greetings, YouTube. The Doctor is in. Dr. Urius Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And this is the last spell that we got in our last tranche of D&D drop spells. This spell is Void Star, so we're going to be talking about this, going over it. We're going to be comparing it to some other spells. It is a 7th level spell, so that's a little steep. And we're going to be giving it a grade as well. So, Void Star is a 7th level spell usable by warlocks and wizards. So it's arcane. It's a casting time of 1 action, has a range of 120 feet, verbal, somatic, material component. We don't care about that. That's worthless. Instantaneous duration. It is from the necromancy school, and it is range. So you conjure forth a fragment of a dark star and launch it at one creature that you can see within range. Make a ranged spell attack against that target. On a hit, the target takes 6d12 necrotic damage. At the end of the target's next turn, and only that turn, it takes 3d12 necrotic damage, and you regain hit points equal to the amount of necrotic damage dealt. And of course, we can upcast this using a higher spell slot, and that's for another d12. So essentially, you could get up to both the initial and later, you can get up to 8d12 on the initial and 5d12 on the follow-up. So it's a little bit more healing. What in terms of damage is that? Well, it is 39 points of damage on average for that 6d12 and 19.5 points for that 3d12 for a total of 58.5. And then you're going to heal roughly 19-20 points back. So not a fantastic amount of damage for a 7th level spell. It does have the rider on the back end of it that you get to heal a little bit. I mean, that's not a massive amount. So what is the grade we're going to give this spell? We are going to give this spell a straight C. For combat value, of course. So the way that I look at spells and the way that I grade spells are, 1, is it easy to use? Yes. It is a 1 action casting time, so it's easy to use. Am I going to use this every combat? Probably not, because there are better 7th level spells, and we're going to talk about that. But there's better 7th level spells that warlocks and wizards can use, so I probably won't even prepare this. And that kind of goes a little bit into ease of use, but no, I'm not going to use this every combat. Is this integral to a build? No, absolutely not. Like, the necrotic builds are not fantastic to begin with anyway. And is this really going to turn the tide of combat for your group? No, it's not. It's going to do damage. It doesn't do a lot of damage, and that's basically where you end up. It's just damage. It's very situational. With the healing, you may or may not need the healing. You're a wizard or warlock. You're probably going to be pretty far away. Chances are you may not need that healing. So if you cast this and you do the damage and you don't need the healing, you completely lose that. So that is a situational point that is within this. The other thing that I don't like about this is that it is a single target spell and it's a ranged attack. There are certain things you could throw on top of this that add to that. Hex, things like that will add on to that. I guess that's okay. I would prefer, for 7th level spell, I would prefer this to do a little bit more damage, and I would prefer that this was also area of effect. Now let's talk about the spell list for warlocks and wizards at 7th level and what other spells are better than this one, because there are a number of spells that are better than this one, and I would not prepare. You get a certain number of spells to prepare. That's kind of precious. Why would you do that? So we've got Create Magan. That's a pretty good one. And it's essentially permanent. This is not one that you're going to prepare. This is not one that's going to be there. So we've got Crown of Stars. This is a preparing spell. This one's not so bad. You get 7 motes of light. We've gone over this one before, but they each do 4d12 damage. And you get a bonus action every round. So, I mean, it's a bonus action 4d12 damage every single round. That, in the end, is probably going to do more damage just in 2 rounds than the Void Star. Delayed Blast Fireball, it's 12d6, and the damage increases by 1d6 every turn, ends that the spell hasn't gone off. So that's okay. This is an area of effect. That's a good one. Draconic Transformation, I'm not sure I would use that one. Dream of Blue Bale, either. Finger of Death is another damage dealer. This one does a little bit more damage. It is 1 target, and it's a saving throw. It's a Constitution saving throw, so it's basically on the same level as Void Star. Force Cage is probably the go-to in this whole list. This is a pretty awesome spell. This is one that, yep, this one will end combat pretty heftily. So Force Cage is 1. Morning Cane and Sword is not too bad. You get a sword for a minute. It does 4d12 force damage, and it gets to attack every turn. That's not bad at all. Power Word Pain is another great one. You know, I like control spells. Targeted is disadvantage on attack rolls, ability checks, and saving throws other than Constitution. Can you say Disintegrate? Prismatic Spray, another great one that I would rather take than Void Star, especially if you get into this indigo or violet area. That's nice. Reverse Gravity, a massive, massive spell. That's another good one. Simulacrum, another great one. Whirlwind, another good one, although Whirlwind can be a little bit situational based off of the size limitations that it has. But all in all, Void Star is a C. It is probably not something I'm going to take. There are many other choices for Warlocks and Wizards to take other than this one to cast and to fill those 7th level slots. So that is the video that I have for everybody today. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody later.